Most people think the world is shaped by intelligence, talent, or luck. And while those things matter, they don't explain how momentum actually forms in real life. If you watch closely, how opportunities appear, how projects move forward, how certain people seem to stay involved while others fade out, you start to notice a different pattern. The world doesn't really move for the smartest people in the room, or the most qualified, or the ones with the most carefully constructed plans. It moves for the people who bring energy into it. Not loud energy or motivational energy, but simple, consistent movement. People who act. When you look at how things actually happen, jobs, collaborations, relationships, progress, it's rarely a perfect plan unfolding exactly as imagined. Most of the time, it's someone doing something slightly early, slightly unpolished, and figuring it out as they go. Energy creates visibility, and visibility creates options. At any given moment, there are millions of ideas that technically could work, but most of them never leave the thinking stage. Not because they're bad ideas, but because they stay still. The world doesn't go looking for potential, it reacts to motion. Someone sends the email instead of rewriting it for the 10th time. Someone uploads the video instead of waiting until it's perfect. Someone shows up before they feel fully ready, and that single action changes their position relative to everyone else who's still preparing. Energy isn't a personality trait. Quiet people can be energetic, and introverts can be energetic too. It simply means output, turning thoughts into actions at a higher rate than average. A lot of people mistake hesitation for preparation. Waiting feels responsible, strategic, and safe, but most of the time it doesn't make things clearer or better. It just removes you from the process entirely. The world doesn't pause while you're getting ready. It keeps moving and responds to whoever is already in motion. This is why people with obvious flaws often succeed. Not because flaws don't matter, but because energy compensates. They learn in public, adjust while moving, and let reality correct them in real time, while someone else is still refining version 1 in private. Energy creates surface area, more attempts, more contacts with the real world, and reality is the only thing that teaches you what actually works. There's also a social dimension to this. People are drawn to energy, not enthusiasm or forced positivity, but clarity and direction. Someone who moves decisively, even imperfectly, feels easier to follow, easier to trust, and easier to engage with. Not because they're always right, but because they're already doing something. The world is built around people who initiate. Meetings happen because someone schedules them. Projects move because someone takes ownership. Communities form because someone starts talking and keeps showing up. Energy is the invisible signal that says you're participating, and participation tends to get rewarded, not formally, not fairly, but consistently. This doesn't mean burnout or constant hustle, and it doesn't mean filling your time just to feel productive. Most busy people aren't energetic, they're reactive. Energy is selective movement, choosing a direction and pushing forward more often than you can pull back, even if the steps are small. Over time, small amounts of directed energy compound faster than almost anything else. The opposite is also true. Low energy doesn't usually look like laziness. It looks like endless consumption, endless research, and endless thinking, watching other people move while you stay still. Slowly, that creates distance, not because you're incapable, but because you're absent. The world doesn't punish you for that. It simply forgets about you. That might sound uncomfortable, but it's useful because energy is one of the few things that you can control immediately. You don't need permission to act, validation to start, or even certainty to move. You just need enough energy to take the next visible step. Send the message, publish the draft, apply before you even feel fully qualified. Start before you feel confident. Not because it guarantees success, but because it guarantees engagement with reality, and engagement is where things actually change. The world isn't fair, and it isn't optimized for the best ideas or for the most thoughtful people. It's reactive, and it reacts to whoever shows up with energy, direction, and consistency. That's why, over time, it feels like the world belongs to them, not because it was designed that way, but because they kept moving while others paused. The world is for the energetic, not the loudest, not the most motivated, just the ones who keep stepping forward, even when it's awkward, early, or imperfect. End.